And welcome back to the TV show, joined as always by the great Angelo and the super fantastic Rhea Hughes. I'm Jay Black. How are you guys?
Great.
I'm not the great Angelo today. I got a lot of negative stuff. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
I do have two very good movie recommendations, but before that, things could get a little dark, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, okay. Well, it seems like you're indicating.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's set it up, because if you were listening last week, and if you are listening week to week, there's a good chance you live in Italy or now India, because we just cracked the top 5 in the subcontinent of India for their TV shows. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
I love it.
Thank you so much, India. I get a weekly update from those guys. Well, not from India, but from this place called Podcast. Actually, I'm not hearing myself through my headphones. You guys are talking out loud, and I'm like, why are you so muted? And it's like, because it's coming through my TV. So if you were listening last week, you know that Angelo was going to watch Ted Lasso. He was going to give it a rewatch. America's favorite soccer coach, Ted Lasso, loved universally the world round. He tried it first, and when it first came out, did not like it. But because of our persistent pressure, he gave it a shot. And now the conclusion of that cliffhanger. Angelo, what is your feeling?
All right. First of all, that was not a correct representation of my history with soccer. I attended a game by my twin soccer grandsons a couple of weeks ago. They won the game, and that inspired me. And then I remembered that one of my favorite shows of the past year was a reality show about soccer named Welcome to Wrexham.
Right.
And I went, you know what? Maybe I just didn't time my original Ted Lasso exposure. And that once I got to watch it with this new appreciation for soccer, I would like it. This show stinks.
Oh, stop.
Ted Lasso is a big pile of nothing. You understand me? And I'm going to tell you, I even know why you like it, Rhea. We haven't had a good fight in a while. This is great. I know why you like it. I psychoanalyzed it.
Oh, I can't wait to be I'm dying to be psychoanalyzed today.
This is like the first fight in over a month. Rhea, here's where we are. Rhea, you like Ted Lasso because you had cabin fever from the pandemic. Ted Lasso was a success only because of the pandemic. Everybody was depressed. Everybody was down. They were watching garbage like Tiger King. Right. And then this comes along with a good actor who I don't like him in this role, Jason Sudeikis. And you went, and here's what you did, Rhea. You went, wow, this is so upbeat and charming. This is perfect for its time, but it still stinks.
Till the end of the pandemic. So you're completely wrong in your psychoanalyzation.
I read about that, Rhea. It's not only
you read about it.
Rhea, I stole that from a couple of TV critics.
No, you did. That has nothing. I didn't start watching it till the end of the pandemic.
So here's the thing. All right, here's why I don't like it, because you're going to want to know why. And it doesn't take a lot for me to turn against something. I really like Jason Sudeikis. I think he's good in almost everything. He's one of my top 10 in Saturday Night Live. This stupid accent he's got. This thing is off-putting. It's not, it's so fake. And it's not fake, funny fake. It's just fake. Why would you like that?
Around him? Roy? Did you like Roy?
Roy Kent.
No, I don't. I'll be honest. Even the tall woman. No, it's not. Rhea, it's not good.
Wait, Angelo. Not even Keely. Couldn't Keely get you going just a little bit?
Nothing. Do you understand? Nothing. I was with my wife. She watches it.
Yeah.
And she was talking it up while we're watching it. We got about 20 minutes in and I went, even in retirement, I have better use of my time than this show. And I won't watch it again. And
what better use of your time did you use instead of that?
Rhea, I can't get into it now. It'll be out in December. It's a book.
Oh, right. Well, okay, so two things. I actually agree with you, Angelo. Not that that's why Rhea liked it, but that's why the nation fell as hard as it did. Because not only did it come out at the height of the pandemic, and we're talking, I think it was like April or May of that year, 2020. That was the height of the political process to choose the new president, which I don't know if people remember. A little contentious. Just a titch. People got a little. There's left. Usually, the left and the right get along so well, but that election particularly, they did not. And I do think that its relentlessly upbeat attitude was a breath of fresh air at a time when we needed fresh air in our lives. So I do agree that the phenomenon of Ted Lasso, it was fueled in part by the pandemic. But I also think that the Bill Lawrence vibe that we see in Shrinking, that we all like, that was in Cougar Town, that was in Scrubs, Bill Lawrence builds a world that I like to be in from week to week. It's a world that doesn't have a lot of issues beyond a group of funny, cool people getting together and speaking very witty quips to one another. And I'm fine with that every week. And as much as I can get it in my life, that's what I want.
Problem, Jay. Here's the problem. And I don't know, Rhea, you've been watching Shrinking?
I haven't started it yet.
All right, good. Don't. Because now I don't like that either. Right? No, this once I saw this again, I went, well, what do I love about Shrinking? So I watched the next episode of Shrinking, and I didn't like that. So it's even
you talked yourself into not liking it.
Yes, I honestly think I went, well, I mustn't like this guy. He's doing Ted Lasso. And I watched Shrinking, and I do like Harrison Ford, although he's not stretching himself being a grump. But I don't even love Shrinking now. Neither one. Now I'm hanging in with Shrinking, but no longer enjoying it. And I still hate Ted Lasso. This was a bad experiment. I shouldn't have done it.
If you are a reporter who's writing an article entitled "Has Retirement Sawed the Edges Off of Angelo Cataldi?" No, the answer is no. The edges are still there, perhaps even new edges on Angelo Cataldi. Well, I am really sorry to hear that, because I was really excited about talking season 3 throughout. Because Rhea, are you up to season 3 yet? Or are you still
up to season 3? I'm just about finished season 2.
Okay.
So I will be done that, and then I'll move on to season 3, and I will send Angelo emails all about it to tell him.
All right, Rhea, I'm just saying, you would have more time. You should retire too.
Trent Krim, the Independent, is one of my favorite characters, and
awesome. He's got great hair too.
Wonderful hair. And I was looking at it going, should I grow my hair out like that? And the answer is no, I would not look as good. All right. So if you were waiting for it from last week, the conclusion Angelo Cataldi reached is thumbs down, raspberry blown. Well, I'm sure that the next one, judging from the texts and emails that Angelo and I shared, he's got some positivity coming, because let's start by talking about one of the all-time greats who has ever lived in the history of entertainment, a guy that worked on the first wonderful comedy in the history of TV, Your Show of Shows, with the most packed writer's room in history, Mel Brooks, Woody Allen, Neil Simon, all in one spot, writing comedy. Went on to do Get Smart, a wonderful TV show. Moved into movies, and not only was a movie director of comedies, but also a producer. Produced The Elephant Man, won an Oscar, I believe, for producing The Elephant Man. Took his name off of it because he felt like if he put his name on it, people would think it was a comedy. So he took his name off. That's how humble he is. One of the greatest of all time, Mel Brooks. So before we talk about this new show, tell me what your thoughts are on Mel Brooks. You a fan, Rhea?
Young Frankenstein is one of my all-time favorite movies. And I saw it first as a kid. So I don't even know whenever it came out.
Right.
I think it's one of the most brilliant movies I've ever seen.
Yep. Rhea, that is his best work. I 100% agree with you. Black and white, Takeoff on Frankenstein, phenomenal. Hilarious. You know how
Gene Hackman got in that just like by accident. He heard that they were doing it like through one of his friends. Because you remember he was roommates with Dustin Hoffman. We talked about this. He goes, I want to be in it. You got to get me in. And so that role was created because he found out they were doing it and he wanted to get in it.
Wow. No, I even have it higher rated now than Blazing Saddles. I think that was his funniest film. Rhea, tell them about History of the World Part. I don't want to be the first one to say anything bad here. What did you think of the remake?
Well, it's the first one, the shock value. I mean, it's hard to replace that because you know you're going to get it in this one.
Yeah.
So it makes it difficult. Like, I just thought they were trying too hard to be as great as the first one. And I mean, I wouldn't even have touched it with a 10-foot pole to
No.
try to remake something like that. And I think I read they had something like 15 writers on this one.
Right.
They probably shouldn't have. But it was hard.
Just to be clear, we're talking about History of the World Part 2, which
Yeah.
was the Hulu series. It's out right now, 8 episodes. Mel Brooks is a part of it. It was the promised sequel from History of the World Part 1, which was never really intended to happen. They just put a whole bunch of sketches at the end. And Mel Brooks, well, okay, let's get Angelo's opinion, and then we'll dive into this. Angelo, you loved it, if I remember correctly, yes?
Here's the thing that really upset me. All right, it is beyond puerile. It is infantile. It is the dumbest slapstick humor you could ever imagine. But what upset me was all of the talented people that got in this thing. Every one of these skits, when I saw Danny DeVito, I went, wow, Danny DeVito? Did he read the script before he did this slop? And it's so poorly written that even people who are brilliant at it, they cannot rescue the material. It is unwatchable. It is, if you can get through a half hour of that, you're a simpleton. All right.
About what I got through.
There is, right. You are so stupid that you think, look, I love the Three Stooges.
Right.
And this was just bad slapstick. There's no way you like this, Jack. No way.
I didn't. And I'm going to tell you, I found Mel Brooks in 1987 or 86, I think it was, when Spaceballs came out. I was 10 years old. It was the perfect time. I had seen a bunch of spoof movies, but it was the first one that was making fun of Star Wars, which I don't know if you can tell by looking at me. I was kind of a nerd, and I loved Star Wars. So I saw that and I absolutely adored it. I like even bad Mel Brooks. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think this is Mel Brooks. Yeah. I think Mel Brooks is 96 years old, and for as spry and energetic a 96-year-old he is, I think they said, hey, if we give you a bunch of money and then let Nick Kroll do all the work, are you cool with that? And Mel Brooks said, okay. And he agreed to narrate it and do the little bit in the beginning, because I don't see, this is people doing an impression of Mel Brooks. It's not Mel Brooks doing this.
Okay.
No, that's it.
That makes sense.
And I think that's the part that is like, maybe it's, if it were just a bad comedy show, if it was Nick Kroll going, hey, I want to do a riff on history, and they called it something else, then we would sit here and go, all right, well, it wasn't great, but whatever. But the fact that they took, a lesser Mel Brooks, but even still a guy who's on the Mount Rushmore of comedy, and they took one of his properties and turned it into, I think puerile is the best description of it. Stuff that was in there that was gross for gross sake, which I don't think he ever did. I think he did a gross joke, but it was always in service of something.
It always had a purpose to it.
Yeah. And
his grossness.
Is Nick Kroll a hack? Is that what you're saying?
I don't
know. Because
if...
I've seen him in stuff that was better than this, and he's in a lot of it.
I like Nick Kroll. I do.
You don't in this.
So here's what I think. I don't think I like Nick Kroll trying to be Mel Brooks. I think Nick Kroll, because he did that Broadway show with John Mulaney. Hello, which I really liked. I thought that was very good, very original. So the guy's good at what he does. I just don't think he's good at what this is, which is warmed over Mel Brooks. Here's my question, though. Because right now, if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 33% audience rating, which seems about right, but it's got a 73% Rotten Tomato critics rating. Is that just
critics wanted to like it?
Is that what it is?
And there's that much of a difference. See, when I think it's flipped around, when I think the audience meter, when I see the audience meter is high, that's like audiences watch something and actually like it. Critics, I think, sometimes go into it with a predetermined, this is what I think a great movie should be.
Right.
That's just my
Here's
thought.
the thing. The fact that it's got Mel Brooks's name attached to it, even though it may be fake Mel Brooks material, that gets them 50 of the 73 points. Some people are not going to ever ridicule anything Mel Brooks does because most of what he did was critically applauded. But this is a stink bomb. Don't watch it.
Yeah, this is not one for our recommendation. All right. So we talked a lot in the lead up, Angelo, in the last year that you were on the radio about DirecTV and the Sunday Ticket, because the Sunday Ticket is the only reason why anybody would have DirecTV. I don't know how DirecTV still exists, but it moved this year from DirecTV to YouTube TV. And I just read, I don't know if we ever talked about this, YouTube paid $14 billion for the Sunday Ticket, which for Google is like, honestly, it's like 8 minutes worth of work for Google. But like, that's still in TV terms, an unbelievable amount of money for the NFL. And to pay for this, they just raised the price of YouTube TV to $72. If you want it in 4K, you need to pay an extra $5. So if you want the full quality, you pay $80 a month. For the increase in price, now you can watch 4 boxes on your computer or TV at once, which I guess if you want to watch 4 games at once, if you get the Sunday Ticket. I'm just curious, 2 questions about this. The first one, is YouTube, are people going to watch it? Is this going to be a success for them? Is the fact that you don't need a satellite dish anymore going to mean more people sign up for the Sunday Ticket? And the second question, when did like cord cutting become cable? Because I remember cutting cords to save money. If you get everything now, you're paying more than you ever paid for cable.
Yep.
We got bamboozled, and I don't like it. Are you guys going to get the Sunday Ticket? Yes or no?
Real simple.
I had it a long time ago, but so I'm probably not going to do it just because I'm at the home games for the Eagles. So it monetarily wouldn't make any sense. And on Sundays, if the Eagles play at 1 o'clock, I'm watching them. Then I'm watching post game. If the Eagles aren't till like Sunday night or Monday night, then I just watch Red Zone all day. So,
well,
I mean, that's what I do.
You nailed it. $72 a month, right? Red Zone channel. As long as Red Zone channel is there, I don't need YouTube. You understand? Right. They're gonna show me 4 games at once. Red Zone will know which one to show me at the right time. They have a director. I don't want to be the director. As long as Red Zone channel is available, I won't go near this. There's no reason to. And the idea that they think somebody's going to pay $72 for that, they're nuts.
Well, hold on. It's $72.
They're not going to make their money back. I'm telling you.
I should
not even with gamblers, because gamblers can, first of all, they'll go to a sports book. They're everywhere now.
Right. Yeah. But I would pay $72 a month for the Red Zone channel. Just that. I'd only have to buy it for 5 months of the year. And if there's not an Eagles game on, Rhea, that's all I want to see.
Yeah, that's
everything for me. It's phenomenal. I don't want that. I already have the best scenario, the Red Zone channel. They're going to get burned on this big time.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that we are probably like 16 months to like 2 years out from watching a collapse of this streaming world that is, been very good for me, because a lot of people are trying to buy content, and my crappy content people are buying. But I do think that, there's going to be some mergers and acquisitions here, because you can't survive. Who can pay $72 a month for YouTube and then on top of it get all these other streaming channels?
No, you can't.
It's impossible.
Hold on, Jay. When you refer to your crappy content, are you including this podcast?
No. We're not getting paid yet, Angelo. Once we strike a deal with like Peacock streaming, all we're going to do is talk Peacock shows and how great they are. We will sell out immediately. Peacock,
are they bidding? Because if so, I really think they're a fine streamer.
You know what? I'm going to cut this out and send it to them. Peacock, we love everything that you do. Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right, so let's switch gears. This is the best way to get Peacock interested. Peacock, get some British TV and then have Rhea come on and review it for you. What do you got for this week in British TV, Rhea?
So it's actually an Irish show, but it's on the British channel. I get Acorn on available on Prime, called Holding. I was really excited about this. It's 4 episodes and 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes at 82% audience. So everybody loved it, apparently, except for me. Now it had a lot of promise. It's why I kept looking. I said, I want to wait till I can look at this. It's a murder mystery in a small Irish village. And the main character, I thought, okay, is this kind of going to be like a little bit of a drama comedy? The main character is this overweight old police officer called PJ. And he's so overweight, he self-medicates with food. And he hides food, hides it under his seat in his car, hides it under his chair. His housekeeper makes him food every day that could kill a horse. So what happens is they find the bones of this body, and it turns out to be a guy who went missing 20 years ago on the eve of his wedding, where he was really only marrying this unattractive woman. I don't say unattractive, she's heavy, to get her land, to join the two lands together. But he was having an affair with the young hot girl who was 17. So it could, for me, it couldn't decide whether it wanted to be a comedy or a drama, because there were a couple points where it was fun, and then it was like really deep. I figured out how the guy died and who did it probably into episode 2. It never grabbed me because I don't think it knew what it wanted to be. And but what I'm saying is I might be wrong, because the audience loves it, the critics love it. They think it's great. It was so I figured you love this part in here. There's one part that was very funny. The overweight police officer, he's so fat, he unbuckles his pants while he's in a crime scene to just let his flesh out. And a woman comes walking in, and he's zipping up his pants, and she goes, it's a traditional Irish English thing. She goes, "What are you, wanking off?" And I'm like, okay, there we go.
Wow.
Yeah, but I just didn't like it.
You're selling this to me. I love gluttony. And
Right, yeah.
pulling his pants down. It happens to me. I'm not out on holding yet. I'm thinking that might be okay.
With this,
listen, I'm going to recommend it only because everybody else seemed to love it. They found it charming. I found him a little charming, but there's a character in it, Evelyn. He's like 37 years old. He's sleeping with a 17-year-old.
Oh,
and I think that just bothered me. I have a kid who's almost 14, and I would kill her. And that was a big part of the plot. And maybe that's why it bothered me.
There was a show, I don't know if you guys watched For All Mankind when that was on Apple TV. It was essentially a show about what if the space race had continued, like if we didn't stop when we got to the moon, because the Russians beat us there. So it's like, what if their space race continued through the 70s, 80s, and 90s? So it's an alternate history, sci-fi things kind of rooted in reality. Spoiler alert for the second season. One of the characters has sex with her son's best friend. And here's the thing. The son had died. So they were grieving together, and the two of them, so, and my wife and I, we looked at each other. We were in on this show. We were like, all through season 1, 7 episodes into season 2, we looked at each other and said, well, that's it. And then we were done because we couldn't watch anymore. Because how do you, like, we just couldn't go with that character anymore. It was like, I felt like Angelo. I'm out. I used to like you. Now I don't. I'm out. So Rhea does not have a teen corner this week because she was down in Clearwater.
Yeah, I was at spring training, and I actually took my son, and we were out and about doing stuff. And all of a sudden, I woke up this morning at 2:30, and I went, I never asked him what show he's watching, and I've just spent 5 complete days with him. So I will have one for you next week.
Well, no, I'll just jump in because I was talking about, we had this on the list. I watched with my son Succession. Again, it was I think my 4th or 5th run through of this series. I love the show; it's my favorite show. And he's a little too young. He's 15, but he wanted to watch the new season. So I was like, yeah, there's not like a ton of sex. I mean, there's more language than anything else in this, and there's some stuff that's uncomfortable. Number one, he loved it, proving paternity, because he's a good-looking kid, so I'm never 100%. But number 2, I was sitting there going, I probably could have given it a year or 2. I probably should have waited. Like if I was a responsible parent, I probably should. But you're
not, so just get over that.
I'm not. I should have waited till he's 16 or 17. And I'm just wondering, do you guys have a show or a movie that you really want to share with, maybe back, Angelo, when your kids were little, or your grandkids, or you want to share with Clark, but you're like, I gotta give it just maybe a year or two more, maybe wait till they're 15 or 16. Like Blazing Saddles would be a good example. Like I feel like my son's probably old enough to watch Blazing Saddles right now. But I'm just wondering if you had one of those.
So I was waiting to show Clark Deadpool, and then I found out he's already seen it 3 times with his father. So, so like this weekend when we're down, we're at the Phillies game, and I'd be talking to somebody like Wechter, and somebody would have a bad word, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Clark," and Clark would go, "I'd watch Deadpool. I'm good. I'm good."
Yeah.
So that was one. Here was one I loved it, Ange. I know you loved it. I'm pretty sure Jay, you loved it. Mayor of Easttown.
Oh yeah.
Here's the crazy thing.
Good.
I didn't know Clark was watching it with me because our kitchen was under construction. So normally I watch all my shows in the sunroom and he watches in the living room. Well, I was watching there. I was so engrossed sitting on the edge of the couch. I didn't know that he was sitting on the back chair through 2 episodes.
Wow.
Because I probably would have never let him watch it, but he became completely engrossed in it. So I kind of let him watch something, but it was unbeknownst for the first 2 episodes, but he was into it and we watched the whole thing.
Wow.
It's a great show. It's not, and that's if your kid's sneaking Mayor of Easttown, it's not like he's sneaking like Taxi Cab Confessions or like
exactly,
like something on Cinemax. He's watching quality TV, so that's all right.
I got one that I witnessed firsthand down last summer. My son was introducing his sons, who were 13 at the time, to Wonder Years, the original Wonder Years.
Oh wow!
Oh, great!
What was fascinating to watch was, there were scenes where the 2 young characters were kind of kissing a couple of times. These boys squirm so much.
Oh my God, yes.
They're on the cusp of puberty. And you could tell that they're reacting both as the kid and as the adult simultaneously. But it is a phenomenal show to share with your kids. And I'd say the cutoff is around 12 or 13. I think after that, it's okay to watch it. And I only watched the new version of it a couple of times. I don't know. Nothing ever is as good for me when they remake it.
No.
I love the original, and I think it would be great for somebody to sit with their 10, 12, 13-year-old kid and watch. The Wonder Years, the original.
So the original Wonder Years came out. I was the exact same age as Kevin Arnold. So in real time, he was in 6th grade. I was in 6th grade. He was in 7th grade. I was in 7th grade. So you want to talk for a budding narcissist about like, well, I guess the world does revolve around me. They're making a TV show specifically about my experiences. So that show, at least for my particular year in high school, I remember that being like a very big deal for all of us through middle school and high school. Like, yeah, Kevin Arnold, he's me. So great show. All right. So you said you have some positivity to end out the show, because I'm worried all our recommendations are going to be don't watch TV this week. What do you got, Angelo?
I got 2 movies that I loved. Both of them I loved. On Hulu, it just came out a few days ago. Boston Strangler. It's called Boston.
I want to see that.
In fact, Rhea, I am not trying to hedge into your British stuff, but both of my things have a British element to them. Boston Strangler is a newspaper yarn about how this young reporter, played by Keira Knightley, phenomenal.
I love. Yeah,
she's fantastic in it, and how they get on the scent of finding out who the Boston Strangler was back in the, what was that, the 60s or 70s?
60s, yeah.
They do a brilliant job of recreating the era. It's not a cheap production. It's very good. They capture the mid 60s. I guess that's when he was prowling around.
Yeah.
And it's spooky. It's exciting. It's I love any journalism thing where the reporter is willing to give up everything else in her life, and including her own family, to get this story. And it's so, you see the torture she's in, leaving her son and alienating her husband, but being on the scent of a murderer who'd kill like 15 or 20 women. And it is brilliantly executed. I think you will love it. It's on Hulu, and it's just Boston Strangler. And the other one is also with English elements. It's written and directed by Sam Mendes. Now, I don't know how new this is. Empire of Light. Have you heard of this?
Empire of Light.
If you love movies,
2022.
It's set in this amazing movie house. It's old-fashioned movie house, and the star of it, brilliant as always, the Meryl Streep of Britain, Olivia Colman.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah.
I didn't like her very much in The Crown, but she's great in everything.
Now, Olivia Colman in this is a woman who works at in a movie theater, and she ends up befriending and having a romantic interlude with a black guy named Michael Ward, who's much younger. And the other big character in it is the boss of the movie house, Colin Firth.
Oh, I love him.
And this woman, Olivia Colman, is diddling both the young black guy and the older boss. My wife was watching and said,
wow.
Boy, I'll tell you, for an older woman, that woman's very busy. But it is it captures the magic of watching a movie in an old movie house. And then they have a premiere of Chariots of Fire there. Some of it's based on real life. It's a movie house right near the water, near the shore. It's so beautifully photographed. And, there's a racial element to it. And there's a pretty good story attached to it. But I just think that the performances in here are great. And if you love movies, you're going to love Empire of Light, which is on HBO Max right now.
Very nice. And so thank you, Angelo, for ending with some positivity.
Yay!
That movie's an Empire of Light, this podcast, Ray of Light in everyone's life.
Let me just go through what we talked about just in case, because Rhea doesn't recommend it, but Holding is on Prime if you want to see it. I do recommend Boston Strangler on Hulu. I recommend Empire of Light on HBO Max. Wonder Years is available on Hulu. You don't have to pay for it. That's good. Do not watch under any conditions Ted Lasso on Apple Plus or History of the World Part 2 on Hulu. We all agree on that one.
Yes.
And if you want to spend $72 a month, go ahead. It's going to cost you that for YouTube, but you could see all the football there.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much. As always, please go send us a comment on YouTube. Give us a review on iTunes. That really helps us. Tell a friend, share the experience with people. Let them know about the podcast. That's how we grow so much in India and Italy. But we'd like to do the United States as well. So put the word out, guys. For Angelo Gattati, Rhea Hughes, guys, thank you so much. We'll be back next week.